Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drayhon, and welcome back to Pathfinder Hero Flux, as in fluctuation, a synonym for conversion. This is a parody of my Dungeons & Dragons series, Character Conversion, and just like in that series, we are taking a look at characters from across media and converting them into a playable character for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Today we are doing Danny Fenton, also known as Danny Phantom. Now, without further ado, let us get started. Starting things off with our stats, we get 10 for each of our stats, and we get 4 free ability score increases. Go ahead and increase your Dexterity, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma each by 2. Next is our Ancestry. Since Pathfinder doesn't use the term race, which is fine, we are a human, but we also get a heritage, Duskwalker. Duskwalkers are individuals who were fending off the forces of undeath, trying to keep the balance between life and death, and were killed earlier than fate had designed. So beings known as Psychopomps brought them back to life, so they can continue their mission of defending the living world from the dead. Very similar to how Danny was turned into a half-ghost. So yeah, we're going to go with that. The other option wasn't really that great, so Duskwalker it is. I sure like it. We get some very nice features from the Duskwalker, as we will soon see in this video. We'll go ahead and increase our Dexterity and our Charisma each by 2 points. Our hit points start off at 8, speed at 25 feet, languages common plus 1 of our choice, since our intelligence is only a 10. We also get the Ancestry feat Grave Sight. Since we are a Duskwalker, normally we would have low light vision, but thanks to Grave Sight, we now have dark vision. Moving on to background. Since we are from the family of ghost hunters, bounty hunters seemed very much appropriate. So go ahead and increase your strength by 2 points, and increase your charisma by 2 points. We'll have the trained skills of survival and legal lore, and since we are a bounty hunter, we get the skill feat experience tracker. Gotta be able to find them ghosts after all. And now for our class. His molecules were all rearranged. He can walk through walls, disappear and fly. He is much more unique than the other guy. You're half ghost, so that means we need a sorcerer, which, starting things off, we get a +2 to our charisma, and we get more hit points equal to 6 plus our constitution modifier, which is only a +1, so you only get +7 for a grand total of 15 hit points. We also get proficiencies in trained perception, saving throws. We are trained in our fortitude and reflex saves, and are an expert in our will save. We also are trained in acrobatics, intimidation, occultism, and religion. Trained in simple weapons and unarmed strikes, and we are also trained in all armors and unarmored defense. Like I said, you are half ghost, which means you have a bloodline of the undead. Your spell list is divine. Your starting spell DC is 17, and your starting spell attack is a +7. From what I gather, your spell DC is based off of 10 plus your charisma plus your proficiency bonus. Your spell attack is your proficiency bonus plus your charisma. You get granted spells, bloodline spells, and blood magic. What are bloodline spells? Your bloodline grants you bloodline spells. Special spells unique to your lineage. Bloodline spells are a type of focus spell. If you remember my last video, the raw guide to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, covering spell casting, you will remember what focus spells are. Very special spells. Your bloodline spells are, well, your granted spells are pretty much your domain spells. Spells that get automatically added to your spell repertoire. Let's go ahead and take a look at those spells. Starting off with your granted spells, we have the following spells which you will get when you reach those spell slot levels. Chill Touch, Harm, False Life, Bind Undead, Talking Corpse, Cloud Kill, Vampiric Exsanguination, Finger of Death, Horrid Wilting, Wail of the Banshee. Wail of the Banshee. Sounds like a ghostly wail to me. Next, for our Bloodline spells. Your initial Bloodline spell is Undeath's Blessing. When you gain access to the advanced spell, you will get Drain Life. And when you gain access to the greater Bloodline spell, you will get Grasping Grave. And as for your blood magic, whenever you use your Bloodline spell, you will be able to gain a special ability. Either you get to give yourself temporary hit points, think equal to the number of focus points you use, or you get to deal some extra damage to a target. I can't remember exactly how that works. You'll just have to read that in the sorcerer's description. Moving on to our level 2 sorcerer, we get the class feat Reach Spell. This will give us an action to increase the range of the next spell that we cast by 30 feet. Has to be the next action. So it's very nice to have that handy. We also get the Intimidating Glare skill feat. Moving on to level 3, we're going to go with the general feat of Die Hard and the trained skill Athletics. Level 4 sorcerer will get the class feat Ancestral Blood Magic. This will give us the ability to use our blood magic whenever we use a non-cantrip spell that we have gained from a heritage or ancestry feat, in addition to the normal circumstances that trigger your blood magic. So that could be useful. And I think we do have a couple of features that gives us spells. I can't remember. We also get the skill feat Catfall. Level 5 sorcerers get ability score increases. Increased dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and charisma. Wisdom, constitution, and dexterity will increase by 2, and since we are getting closer to 20, we are only able to increase our charisma by 1. Our ancestry feat is going to be Duskwalker Lore. This will give us the trained skills of Arcana, Medicine, and Stealth. We're also going to get Magical Fortitude. Now we are experts in the saving throw of Fortitude. Moving on to level 6 sorcerer, we'll get the class feat Steady Spellcasting and the class feat of Arcane Sense. Level 7 sorcerers will get a expert skill in Stealth, general feat Number 2 Death, and will get expert spellcasting. Level 8 sorcerers will get a class feat Exorcist Dedication, which gives us Spirit's Mercy. Exorcist Dedication, we have the prerequisite required, which is trained in occultism or religion. You've learned to attract, quell, and purify spirits, housing them in a special receptacle called a spirit dwelling until they're ready to move on. Through the power of prayers or ritual incantations, one mundane object in your possession becomes a spirit dwelling. Your spirit dwelling functions as a lure for lost spirits, weakened by the time on the material plane. So, basically, you got your Finton Thermos. Trapping the soul. Funny. And your Spirit's Mercy is trigger. You take positive or negative damage, or you take any type of damage caused by a haunt, ghost, or other incorporeal undead. Cost 1 Spirit Wisp or Remnant. The effect is you purify a spirit by having it perform a final act of mercy to lessen the damage caused by another spirit. This grants your resistance to positive and negative damage. against the triggering effect. If you expend a Spirit Wisp, the resistance is equal to twice your level. If you expend a Spirit Remnant, the resistance is equal to 3 times the level of the incorporeal undead or haunt from which you gained the remnant. Special, you can select another dedication feat. You cannot select another dedication feat until you have gained 2 other feats from the Exorcist archetype. You also get the skill feat of Stitch Flesh. You can use treat wounds to restore hit points to undead creatures, not just living ones, which could be very useful for when you have a teammate who is an undead. Alright, moving on to level 9 Sorcerer. We'll get the expert skill of Boneyard Lore. We'll get the ancestry feat Ghost Hunter. And we have lightning reflexes from our sorcerer. Ghost Hunter, your connection to the Boneyard ensures that your blows strike true against spectral beings. Your weapon and unarmed attack strikes against incorporeal creatures become magical. If they are already magical, they instead gain the effects of a Ghost Touch property rune. Very nice. Moving on to level 10 Sorcerer, we get more ability score increases. +2 to your strength, +2 to your dexterity, +2 to your intelligence, and a +1 to your charisma. This means that we are able to get another skill. Go ahead and get the trained skill of Society. You gotta know what your society is up to and how they think. Trained, you get a class feat next. Cross-Blooded Evolution, and a skill feat, Shadow Mark. Cross-Blooded Evolution. All interactions in your bloodline provide you with unexpected spells. You can have one spell in your spell repertoire from a tradition other than the one that matches your bloodline. You cast that spell as a spell from your bloodline's tradition. You can swap which spell you add, and from which tradition, as you could any other sorcerer spell, but you can't have more than one spell from another tradition in your spell repertoire at the same time using this feat. I would recommend getting Invisibility. That way, you can turn invisible, just like you should be able to as Danny Phantom. Anyway, moving on. Sorcerer level 11. You get the expert skill of Intimidation. General feat will go with weapon proficiency, giving us the trained weapons of martial weapons. We'll gain alertness and weapon expertise, simple weapons. Level 12 Sorcerer gets a class feat. We're going with Advanced Bloodline. We'll also get the skilled feat, Armored Stealth, letting us not make as much noise while we're wearing armor. Kind of like, say, the Ghostbuster armor. I can't remember what they called it. Maybe the Fenton Buster. Either way, moving on to level 13, expert skill in Arcana, ancestry feat, Bounce Back. We also get defensive robes and weapons specialist. Bounce Back is a free action. Once per day, you lose the dying condition. You recover from near-death experiences with astounding resilience. Don't increase the value of your wounded condition due to the loss of the dying condition. Very nice. Moving on to level 14, our class feat is going to be Energy Ward. This gives us the ability to, your most recent action was to cast a non-cantrip spell that dealt energy damage. You trap energy from the last spell you cast within your body, coating your flesh in a protective ward. Until the start of your next turn, you gain resistance 5 to one type of energy damage dealt by the spell you just cast. Very nice. And we'll also go with the skill feat Titan Wrestler, so we can tussle with somebody that's a little bit larger than us, which we have done several times as Danny. Level 15, go ahead and increase your strength, constitution, and intelligence each by 2, and your charisma by 1. Go for the trained skill Diplomacy, expert skill of Legal Lore, a general feat in Fleet. We'll get a +5 movement speed that way, and we get Master Spellcasting. Level 16 Sorcerer will go with the class speed Spiritual Sense. This is our Phantom Sense, which we should have gotten this sooner, but I needed a couple of other things and totally forgot that we had the Exorcist feats available as well. Anyway, skill feat, Eye of the Arc Lords. This is just a more updated version of Spiritual Sense, kind of. You get a bonus to your perception, which is pretty good. Level 17 Sorcerer will get Expert Skill in Acrobatics. We'll get the Ancestry feat of, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Yamaraj Grandeur. And we also get the ability Resolve for a Master Save of Will. Now, for our Grandeur, this is basically our Cold Breath. You exhale a blast of icy wind and ravenous insects. That one's a little bit weird. This is a 30-foot cone that deals 14d6 slashing damage and 4d6 proficient slashing damage. Basic reflex save using your class DC and spell DC, whichever is higher. On a critical failure, targets also become sickened. 2. Very nice. Level 18 Sorcerer will get the class feat Greater Bloodline and the skill feat Read Psychometric Resonance. Excuse me. This is just to increase our sense, our ghostly senses, so it kind of makes sense to use this. Sorcerer at level 19, Master Skill, Boneyard Lore, General Feat, Toughness, Bloodline, Paragon, and Legendary Spellcaster. The Toughness General Feat gives us a bonus to our maximum hit points equal to our level. And also the DC of recovery checks is equal to 9 plus your dying condition value. So it's sort of decreased that DC. Moving on to our final level, level 20. Go ahead and increase your Strength, Constitution, and Wisdom each by 2, and your Charisma by 1. Go ahead and grab the class feat, Greater Cross-Blooded Evolution. This will give you a grand total of 3 spells instead of just 1. That can be added to your repertoire from traditions that aren't the Divine Tradition. I would recommend grabbing Magic Missile for this one, as one of the second and third. For the other one, I don't exactly know. That's up to you. Also grab the skill feat Underwater Marauder, since we have fought underwater before, if I remember correctly. Anyway, that is all for today. I would have gone over a spell list, but I am afraid I ran out of time making this video. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for next time when we take a look at Spyro. This has been Drahon, and I am offline.